to get hepatitis C treatment in Russia, you have to be HIV positive and hepatitis C positive, and you have to live in certain regions in the country. That was not my case, so I just couldn't get treatment for free or diagnostics for free.
Well, currently, the most vulnerable communities like drug users and thalassemics are struggling with access to hepatitis C treatment, and they are basically have been asking the government to put them in treatment, but they have not been successful.
Everybody knows hepatitis. Acute hepatitis has the same signs like malaria. Jaundice is malaria in most of the countries in Africa.
For years now, there have been great community outcries about HIV and great community efforts and international efforts to treat people with HIV, to treat a fatal infection. For hepatitis C, it has largely been a story of silence.
In Ukraine, the treatment is available only for rich people because the treatment cost varies from $16,000 to $18,000.
What happens is that patients who have a bit of money, who can sell property, gold, are able to somehow access treatment, but those who do not cannot access treatment. The treatment can cost up to 500,000 rupees, which is about, sometimes ranges between, say, $8,000 to $10,000.
We were very lucky that at that time we have another pegylated interferon produced by one of the Egyptian drug companies. So we used that to make pressure on the international drug company who are producing the pegylated interferon.
My feeling that if it is possible in Egypt, why it is not possible in Ukraine? What I've heard today is that they were trying to make pressure on government many times, and many times they failed. So we have started this year, and we are planning to continue making pressure on government. We are planning to make them provide people with treatment.
The truth is that governments and communities are both ignorant about the various wide ranges of prices that are being charged for the same medications. So a particularly important thing is for communities to educate themselves and to carry that message back to their national governments to say, actually treatment is much more affordable in other countries, even countries that have the same level of income as ours. What are you doing about it?
What we're really looking for is, once a day, a pill or two that are safe, don't have tons of side effects, really work for people, can be used in different patient groups, easy to make, low milligram pill count, not expensive to produce.
The problem is we know from HIV, we know from multi-drug resistant TB that just because drugs are in the pipeline, just because drugs become available in Western settings, doesn't mean that they get to where they're needed. And we still see examples where good HIV drugs are not available in our settings and patients suffer. And we know that that could be the potential for hepatitis C.
What we saw from AIDS and the lesson of the work of MSF and others was that the entry of multiple competing products is what really drove the price down. Community voices only go so far, but multiple suppliers of cheap, effective medicine really drives the price down to a level that people can afford.
It's so important to bring in marginalized groups into treatment programs, or otherwise, obviously, we'll never end the epidemic, whether it's HIV or hepatitis C. And however, they're often criminalized groups and don't have much power, don't have much awareness of the problems that are affecting them because nobody has ever bothered to give them the information or the tools that they need.
When we started doing hepatitis C, actually began at a time when even methadone patients were considered not candidates for hepatitis C treatment. And so our initial strategy was to show that drug users of all sorts could be treated for hepatitis C.
Now, I think the main thing is that I'm also coming from the community of drug users, and I know that I have to represent my community. And I never get caught up in what the government wants us to do. but what we have to do for ourselves. And I know that if I have to be a voice for people on the streets, then I have to represent exactly what their needs are.
Simple. We need to see more about hepatitis C. We need to talk more about hepatitis C. We need to hear more about hepatitis C. Just the way we did in HIV in the early days. Is everywhere in the poster you see HIV, this side you see HIV, you go to meeting, you hear HIV, you talk HIV. In the same way, we need to see, talk, hear more about hepatitis C among the community.
You know, in the case of HIV, the world used to say treatment is impossible. I'm sorry, you're too poor. You'll have to go without. I remember people saying, well, antiretroviral treatment in Africa, it's not possible, sorry.
I think the key role is, again, very similar to what we did 10 years, 12 years ago with HIV, which is basically debunking this whole thing of, oh, it's too expensive, it's too complicated, it's too difficult to do in poor countries, resource-limited countries. We were very, very good at debunking that myth with HIV. We need to do exactly the same thing again with hepatitis C.
I have a dream that every person will know if he or she has got hepatitis C, and if he or she has hepatitis C, he just goes to a doctor and gets treatment, and that's it.
My dream is very concrete. 1 year from now is the treatment for 1,000 patients, 2 years ahead for 2,000 more, 3 years ahead, 5,000 more. 4 years ahead, the diagnostic is included in the universal national healthcare insurance, and 5 years, all the patients can be treated within the basic healthcare insurance program in the country.
I thought some months ago that it could even happen that in this development I could myself benefit from it. So I'm thinking that it's possible that in 5 years I'm still alive and cured of hepatitis C, and this would be really something outstanding, I must say. But it was not why I did fight, it was not for my cure, but to try to solve the problem.